Hello Blues, I hope you're well. Thank you for watching the show. We've got some great topics to discuss, but before that we've got one great prize to give away, a signed Laporte shirt. 99 tickets available. Get over to our Facebook page, our Instagram or YouTube page, see the competition, enter now. It closes 7:30 Monday night. Good luck. Good evening and welcome to the Manchester is Blue show, everybody. I hope everyone's okay. It's a Thursday night and we've got City Dave, we've got Brian. How are we doing, chaps?
Very well, thanks.
Very well. Relieved.
Relieved is a great word to start this show with. I was really nervous about that game last night. I said on the show last night, I was more nervous about the game against Southampton than I was against United, which says an awful lot for me. We needed that bounce back ability and we got it, Dave. What do you think of the game?
Yeah, glad we were able to put our chances away. I think Southampton had the right tactics. I think they had us in trouble quite a few times. I've been impressed with Southampton all season. If they got their defence sorted out a little bit, I think they'd be a lot higher up the table. I think they're a decent team. Thankfully, we put our chances away, which we haven't done all season. And for me, just Mahrez was just absolutely incredible, and he's proven his price tag now after, you know, a lot of stuff that a lot of fans have said about him since he signed for us. He's beginning to show why we spent so much money on him. I just think he's majestic. His touch, I've not seen a better player for first touch since Thierry Henry, of being able to. He's just got a wand. It's just incredible, and he's playing like he did when he was back at Leicester when they won the title. For me, that was my big takeaway last night. How well Mahrez played. He's becoming a first name on the team sheet at the moment. Pep
loves him. You can see why. He's probably got one of the best first touches in the Premier League. He must have. Oh. He must have. And I tell you what, I'm starting to really enjoy the haters squirming a little bit. You can't help the lad at the minute. He's one of our best players, one of our better players. He scored the outside goals record that he's getting at the moment for City. I think he's scored 11 outside goals from outside the penalty area, invaluable goals, brilliant goals last night. Doesn't always go right for him. That's when he gets slated, but when he does, he scores some absolute pearls, doesn't he, Brian?
He is getting more and more of the good performances now, which is my biggest bugbear. We all knew he had the talent. You've seen it. He's been there, done it for Leicester and for us in flashes. But when the criticism that come towards Mahrez was probably because he was not playing well and taking up a spot in the team where you thought somebody could have done better. And he was consistently getting games when you probably thought he shouldn't. Which then people start feel like, why is this guy playing? Me included. I was one of those that are like, look, I don't know. I just can't see it anymore. It's winding me up, you know. Having 6 out of 10s all the time when you've got somebody on the bench like Foden or, you know, Ferran Torres, or Bernardo Silva's not getting the game because Mahrez is there. He must be doing something in training, and now he's starting to perform. Now he's doing the 7 and 8 out of 10 every week now, and he's getting sometimes a 9 and like maybe last night it was a 10 out of 10. You know, we're seeing more and more of the end product now, which is finally what we want to see and what we've all been desperate to see and encouraging it for, and put out. A lot of people have been saying he's had this in the locker for a while, and a lot of people have, you know, I've put over a bit of stick about it, you know, saying that Mahrez is a good player, and like, I don't see it, we don't see it, but it's there now, and we're all seeing it, and we're all benefiting from it.
We're reaping the rewards, aren't they? It's a funny one because I don't know what's clicked, but maybe it's my mentality that's clicked more than anything. That thinks to myself, hang on, he's a key player now. He needs to be started. He can get the opportunities for us. I thought him and Phil Foden were perfect last night. We'll come on to Phil in a minute because I've definitely not finished with the superlatives for Riyad as of yet. Diaz has come in, shaking our defence to the extent of where we are now, and he has certainly helped with the 21 wins, but Mahrez is in just as good a chance of getting that Player of the Year title. I'm struggling to decide between the two at the moment. I think it's just going to boil down to how they both finish the season off.
Yeah,
I think you can chuck Gundogan in there as well if he, you know, if he keeps shipping him with a goal every other game and a contribution, I think he's going to be up there as, you know, you could quite feasibly see at the end of the season we've got 3 players and they're running out of the top 5 for player of the year. So that's going to be.
Well, what we're going to do at the end of the year, at our end of the season show, we're going to do a who our player of the season is. We're going to get a couple of us on here, and we're going to hassle it out, because between the 6 or 7 and admins there is in the group, there'll definitely be 2 or 3 names in there that we need to be shouted for. Oh. And I'm really struggling to decide at the minute who it is for me. I think Diaz just about for me at the minute, but Riyad could quite easily pip it if he keeps those performances up. If
he keeps playing like he does from now until the end of the season, yeah, I can't see past him, to be perfectly honest. He makes the other teams nervous now. When you know that he's on the ball, you can sense it, the other team. They are, oh shit, if I go in too hard, he's going to go down for a penalty. I'm sure we'll get round to that a little bit later as well. But he's making, for me, Brian, as well, what I think has changed is he's making the right decisions. I think there was a lot of hassle that he got about being really selfish, that it was always about him running and trying to score the goal. And I think something clicked with him that, look, I'm still going to try and take it round 5 or 6 players and score the worldie, but I know if I see someone open, I'm going to pass. And he wasn't doing. I don't think he was doing that.
No, he wasn't.
And he
knows
I think
when
to release.
That is probably one of the reasons why opposition defenders now are probably a little bit more worried, because he's actively got another string to his bow now. Everyone knows he can. Everyone knows he can cross. He can shoot from distance. Everyone knows he can dribble, and he wants to. He can't. When he wants to come inside his left foot, most of the time you can't stop him. So now that there's those 3 elements to his game, you know now that he can maybe have a little bit of dribble, and he's going to pass it to someone in a simple position, and either that goes across the box or it comes back to him, and he can slot him in like he has been doing quite a few anyway. He's had like his first touch and bang.
I'll give you a bit of a stat here for Riyad Mahrez. He became the 7th player to score over 50 left-footed goals in the Premier League, following on from Fowler, Van Persie, Giggs, Zaha, Lukaku and Giroud. Not bad list of players to be.
Not bad company, that.
Not bad company at all there. So he's done, and that's his 51 goals he's got with his left foot, by the way. Just to for anyone wondering the stats there. So yeah, we're going off the superlatives for him, but he can just go on from strength to strength. One player I want to talk about is Kevin De Bruyne. I needed to see a captain's performance from Kevin yesterday, and I think he came off really well and came off. I think he just had an eye of the tiger yesterday. He had that Kevin's not going to smile today until the job's done type attitude about him. Brian, what's your thoughts of De Bruyne and how he played?
I think he's just got his. I think yesterday was the case. He's got his match sharpness back. You know, I feel like he's come back from injury and he's tried. I think he's tried too hard. You know, to be the catalyst. You know, sometimes he's been trying to try overthinking a few passes. You know, trying to be a bit too direct. I think yesterday he was just like, I'm just going to go out there, go back to basics, and just get stuck in. And he was the De Bruyne that we know yesterday. He didn't seem to have many mistakes in him, and he was confident in the ball. His passes were crisp, you know, and he just seemed to have that little extra 5 or 10% in his game yesterday.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. He came out for the rankings for player of the game. Yes, he came out 4th. So probably the player of the match was Mahrez, then Foden, then Gundogan and De Bruyne. They were. This is the public votes of the people that came in. Foden, interesting one. Just one more stat about Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin has been directly involved in more Premier League goals against Southampton than any other team. That's 4 goals and 7 assists, 11 in total. So you know he's. I'm glad to see he's carried on that rich vein of form. Do you think so, Brian? Do you think his match fitness is back then? Is he going to be all singing, all dancing? Because I was 50-50 about him playing yesterday, but I'm glad I was wrong.
I feel like he was just trying to chase it a little bit. You know, he was in great form before he got injured, and he's out with not a serious injury, but was it groin? He out with a hamstring or something. One of those that I feel like a 20-odd-year-old, a young 22-year-old lad will probably shake it off quite quickly now. What's Kevin now? 29, 30?
29 now.
Yeah. So a little niggle like that will probably take a week or 2 extra. You know, when you want to make sure he's right, you want to make sure he's fit, and I feel like he was trying to get back into his stride, like he was just like, let's go flow. And I think he might think in his head like it's going to take a week or 2, like it has done Aguero in the past, where it doesn't automatically just come straight back in. He's ticking over. He's going to take 1.5 games, 2 games. He'll still play well in those games, but he'll still take 1 or 2 games to come straight back in now. And I mean, if it's worth waiting for, really, as well, isn't it? If we can wait, like, get him in the team. He's still in the 2 games he's played before this, he still played quite well, but not been an end product. Like yesterday, he stuck with him and he's delivered, really.
Dave, what's your thoughts on Cancelo not starting yesterday? Because he didn't have the best game against United, did he? Do you think he's just tired?
Yeah, I think it was due. I think Zinchenko's playing so well at left back. I really do. I rate him. I know we might be going out and buying a left back in the summer. I understand that, but Zinchenko really doesn't do a lot wrong. So you couldn't really drop him. I think Walker needed to get in there as well. He's maybe a little bit more rough around the edges than Cancelo, and he needed more of that. It was a fighting game last night. Southampton brought it to us, and I think it was more suited for Walker than Cancelo. Nothing against Cancelo. I said all along, I just think Pep got his tactics wrong on Sunday. Nothing really on Cancelo for me. Yeah, he didn't have the greatest of games, but I'm sure he'll be back at the weekend. I'll be surprised if he's not. It's
a funny one because he was interviewed the other day and he said the most difficult winger he's faced is Christian Pulisic at Chelsea. So I thought that was quite an interesting read. He's obviously got a couple of seasons left yet with us to decide who the best one is he played. But yeah,
Who was it who said that?
Cancelo.
Cancelo said his toughest opponent's been Pulisic.
Pulisic, yeah. In the Premier League so far, anyway. So obviously, he's got a long way to go, Anthony, in terms of this season, and I hope to see him more.
Yep.
I think he'll play on Saturday.
I think so too.
I think Walker. I think Walker did well. I like Walker, but I just think that rotating that right back position with Cancelo and Walker, I don't think it does either of them any harm really. What do you reckon, Brian?
No.
I think it's a case of like you do with most players, is you put them in, let them play 5-6 games in a bounce like they have done, and take them out for a game or two and keep him like on edge. You know, like, I want to get back in this team. You know, and when he's back, he's straight in again. I think that's what he's going to give him a break, give him a taste of what it's like to, you know, and rightly so, let somebody else play because there are some good players there, and Kyle Walker's not exactly done much wrong. So you know, make Cancelo realise that he's been playing well, but he's not necessarily guaranteed a first name on the sheet. So
yeah.
Can we talk about? I want to do this quickly because I feel like it's a subject we always talk about, but the penalty decision and VAR. I just can't get my head around the incompetence of the whole penalty decision against Foden, for it not to be given by the referee, and then for the whole point of having VAR is to look for clear and obvious errors, which that was, for the VAR not to give it. I just can't. There's something wrong. It's
understandable that the way the game goes and how fast the game is, that you might miss that first one. You know, I wasn't 100% sure whether he clipped him. If they'd gone rolling around, it would have been a penalty. But you weren't 100% sure the amount of contact that was done originally, which is what the referee might see. You know, and that's it. And that's why VAR is there to help referees to get a second look at it if they made a mistake. Now, the worrying thing is a Premier League official, an experienced Premier League official, who had the chance to watch that in slow motion over and over again and still doesn't think it's a penalty. That's the worrying thing. You know, there's not one person in the world that didn't think that was a penalty, other than Martin Atkinson and John Moss
and Andy Hinchcliffe.
But you know, you would have thought, like, I mean, I think Andy was just a case of maybe not trying to be too much of a City fan on the quiet. You know what I mean? But in that respect, he might just have been saying it just to try and be devil's advocate. But there's nobody, you know. And you watched the coverage last night. Graham Souness, he finds it hard to be positive about City in some ways, but last night he was like sticking up for him. He's saying, "Look, that's not a penalty. What more do you want him to do? You know, you shouldn't be punishing for somebody for staying on the feet. Shouldn't.
Foden did exactly the right thing there, because the question is...
He did the wrong thing, Dave. He did the wrong thing. He did the wrong thing, but trying to be right. And that's what... They're going to have it now. Every week there's going to be people rolling around like Mo Salah, like they've been shot, and...
I don't know how I feel about this. That's
the only way to get penalties, and nobody likes it.
I disagree, Brian, because what would have happened then if Foden had gone down rolling around, then what VAR was saying was that, well, he got the goalkeeper got the ball first. He got a touch on the ball first. So what would have happened to Foden was, if he'd roll around, was there would have been a question mark over, was that simulation? Because he got the ball, he got a touch on the ball first. So I think Foden did the right thing on staying up.
Well, Phil
he wasn't going to get
just,
the penalty either way.
He just wants to score. He wants to try, and he's not. You know, he's not like he's been hurt. No, this is the issue that I have, is players going down when they're not hurt and they can stay up. You know, Phil Foden got took last night. It wasn't a big kick on his foot, but he took his balance enough to be able to make sure that his next step over, he wasn't stood up. You know, and that's where a foul is. He wasn't rolling around claiming on fake injury, like some of them do, like they're rolling around and holding their arms in the face and stuff when they've had a bang on the knee. It's like, come on, I think that's what annoys people, is that rolling around and the drama around it. You shouldn't be punishing somebody for trying to stay on their feet. And all it's going to do now is encourage players to go down even more, because now they're like,
yeah, I've got.
Imagine if that game was the 88th minute and it was 1-1, right, and or it was 1-0 to them, or you know, or it was close game, 0-0, tight game, and he goes through there and he doesn't go down and he doesn't score from it. And that could cost us the title. That could cost somebody relegation. These are the sort of issues you got left. We won't come to it, but these decisions should be getting right, and especially with somebody who's got a chance to have a second opinion on it.
This is the old analogy of, it's the 93rd minute, it's 1-1 FA Cup final, player through on goal. Does he fall to his feet, and does he fall down to get a penalty or not? And that's, honestly, if it was me and I'm clipped and I've not got a goal scoring opportunity, I think I'd go down.
Well, that's it.
And that's the worrying thing.
He shouldn't have to think about that. He shouldn't have to think about that. He should be. Somebody shouldn't have to think that I have to simulate a thing here to get what I'm deserved. Shouldn't have to do it.
He's spot on.
Regardless of the minute at a time, it should be fair across the board.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest problem, is they got it wrong on the night. Fair enough. It's two men doing the job. They got it wrong. They can do that. We all make mistakes, but it's every week now. VAR is becoming more of a talking point on things like Sky and stuff than it is actual highlights of games.
Exactly.
No, Dermot Gallagher's actually raking it in on Sky now. He's on more than most of them.
Yeah.
Why has he not got his own show?
Give it time. We could have him on here.
Probably would.
Yeah.
Probably run them all. Wouldn't he? Get them all on ex-professionals. Oh.
Interestingly, City have scored 5+ goals in 23 Premier League games since Pep Guardiola took charge. I love that stat. That's lovely. I'd like to see
the other stat that backs it up is that the next best team has got like 11 in that time. I think that's Spurs and Liverpool. I've got 11, so it's double.
Sure. Yeah,
it's double the amount of times that we've scored 5+ in.
Ridiculous.
It's phenomenal, really, isn't it? Though it's absolutely phenomenal. And here's one other thing I saw. You'll like this one, Dave. City have followed up each of the last 9 Premier League defeats at the Etihad with a victory. So each of the last 9 times we've lost at the Etihad, we've followed the game up with a victory. That mentality for me. I love that. You can't buy that.
Bounce back ability, isn't it?
Bounce back ability.
That's what you need, isn't it?
Absolutely.
That's what you need. Yeah.
Anything else to add before we move on?
No, thank God for the 3 points.
Right, we're moving on swiftly. Right, so what I wanted to talk to you about, Dave, is a really good point that you've made. We're looking at our squad in 5 years into the future. So we look at the team that we've got now, and the average ages. I've got the average ages of all the Premier League teams in front of me, and City are fair to middling. City are right near smack bang in the middle at 26 years and 1 month. The average age of the City squad. At the higher end of that, Crystal Palace, 28 years, nearly 29, and at the lower end, Aston Villa with 25 years of age. So not much fair to middling, really.
Oh.
But where City are at the moment, and the force that we are, and the cups we've won, and the trophies we've won in the last 3 or 4 years, looking at the next 5 years to come, with the team we've got now, obviously we will add to it. We know that. Pep's quite jokingly says we've got money. We'll spend the money to buy the best players. But Dave, do you want to take this and run with it for a minute, because it was your talk about?
Yeah. So I basically just tried to look about 5 years and just base this on, look, if we didn't buy anyone at all, I know we're gonna do, but even if you just look now and said we're just going to focus on the players, these 23, 24, 25-year-olds that we've got now, and just they'll keep progressing. And then you look at our academy as well, and these players like Doyle, Harwood-Bellis, who are getting some game time now, and beginning to make some first-team appearances. You've got, I just imagine that this is what the first-team 11 could look like if we didn't make any purchases over the next 5 years. You've got Edison in goal, Cancelo, Stones and Diaz, Ake, Rodri, Doyle is that defensive midfielder, Foden, Sterling, Torres and Jesus. I mean, that's frankly ridiculous. And then you've got players like Palmer, Delap, Bellis, Taboo, who I keep hearing incredible things about, Nemecha, Bernabei. I know I'm missing a few out, of that as well, but where I'm going with this is, I didn't even mention Zinchenko. I didn't even put him on the list. I think Zinchenko's 23 now, so he's another one. He loves City. I can't see him going anywhere. But the strength that we've got, I think we're very much becoming the club that we wanted to be, which is really, we're just going to be spending on one player every season or every couple of seasons, because we've got the strength now and experience not to have to spend hundreds of millions of pounds like we've had to do in the past to keep up.
I think that's like a one in, one out scenario now, isn't it? Or maybe two. We could be generally facing two senior players leaving this season, just replace them and and add to what we've got. And then
I
think if you think on a post this season, if we do lose Aguero and Fernandinho, who is the next senior players to go after that? Who is, Fernandinho's 35, Aguero's 32. After that, the 30-year-olds are Kevin De Bruyne. So you're going to be looking at it in another 5 years.
Exactly.
It still might be here with like Fernandinho is now. And Sterling's going to be entering into what's Sterling now, 26. He'll be 31.
He's just turned 26.
So these will be our senior players in 5 years' time. So I said I don't see Kyle Walker's 32. So he's probably, in terms of age, the next one after Fernandinho and Aguero to be hitting that threshold of. But after that, there's not many at all, is there?
Exactly.
Gundogan maybe, but
Laporte's 26. Just looking at the squad now.
It's like a natural possession, isn't it? Of like two are going to go, and then you replace over two more, and then you got maybe Kyle Walker and Gundogan, who are then the next two.
Do you know what, Dave? It's funny this, Dave, because we've not mentioned, or have you mentioned Torres in that?
Yeah, I've got Torres in there, and my starting 11 in 5 years. Yep. Pretty
phenomenal, really, isn't it? From that point of view. Crikey.
Yeah. I think Brian's just hit the nail on the head. That's what this is all about. That there's only a couple of players who are really towards their end of the career right now.
Bernardo Silva's 26 as well. So yeah, looking at the top end of this. So the 30-year-olds in our group: Fernandinho 35, Scott Carson obviously 35, Sergio's 32, Kyle Walker's 30, Gundogan's 30, Mahrez is 30, and then 29 De Bruyne, and then it's Edison and Laporte. 26 is 27. So yeah, do you know what? You can kind of see the natural progression taking over now, can't you? Fernandinho is going to be a big loss to us. Who's going to take up that mantle of being that captain Shithausen?
It depends where you what he does afterwards. If he goes on and plays somewhere else, then good luck to him. You imagine that you want to keep him around. If he said he's been offered a role that wasn't a playing role, right? Like a senior, some sort of staff role there. You have to keep him around, don't you?
I think so.
You have to.
I think so.
You have to keep him there, just for his mentality more than anything.
My understanding is that he has a really good relationship with Khaldoon, and Khaldoon has kind of said that he wants to keep him around in some capacity, that he's important to what Manchester City are trying to do here. So yeah, even if he's not on the playing side, I would love, I've said this many times, Company in a few years when he's got more experience under his belt, obviously managing Anderlecht. I would love Zabaleta to come back in some capacity. Yaya Touré, who's now getting some good coaching experience under his belt. He was with us for 8 years. I did that little group chat yesterday. some of these players are with us for a long time, who've got a deep love for City, and you know they want to see us progress and do well.
And we take care of our. We're in a position now where we can take care of those, you know, that have given us the service in another way. Yeah. What sort of role do you think you would take up then? Do you think you'd be groomed for an executive role, like maybe Varane and what they're doing now, City, you know, those sort of roles? Do you think he'd be being groomed for this executive role back? You know, that's maybe above Pep, but in that pecking order. But because
you know what I see,
Varane and City aren't young guys, are they? They're not going to be around for another 15, 20 years. You're going to need some sort of natural succession there as well.
I would see Fernandinho, because he's a bright lad, apparently, of having some connection with Brazil. So think about this guy, a Brazilian guy who's captained his country, who went and played in Russia as well. So he's got that experience. I really think he could be that conduit for, you know, I know we got 𝐒𝐴T𝐞𝐫, and I know we got 𝐁𝐥𝐿𝐴 as well. I think he could be a real good conduit for Fernandinho, for really scouring that Brazil market and convincing this next generation of world superstars that Brazil always provide, of them getting them to City.
So I think he's well respected. Like a South American football director, then, something like that, you know.
Yeah.
Chief scout over there, something, you know, ambassador.
Yeah,
ambassador to City operations or something like that. The City, you know.
Yeah, like he's been there and done it. He's, you know,
you could see him doing it. You could see him doing something for the City group, couldn't you? Like being the ambassador to the City group and not just being at our club. I think that's. You more think I think he's probably more senior than what we would like him to be at our club, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
With a view to them one day being not the main guy, the office guy sort of thing.
I think he'd be fantastic at really pushing Manchester City as a club to these 17, 18, 19-year-old wonder kids, you know, who were playing for Santos and Palmeiras and whoever else in Brazil. I think we were lucky to get 𝐁𝐥𝐿𝐴, because I know there was a lot of clubs after him. It sounded like 𝐒𝐴T𝐞𝐫's choice was between us and Barcelona. They really wanted him.
Yeah,
if you've got someone like Fernandinho, who's been there, done that, captained his country, he's won everything pretty much. I think he took a chance.
Then he went out to Russia, plied his trade, got on with it as a young man, grafted. You know, learned the languages, played the football, kept his head down, and then had one hell of a career at City after that, and has been looked after. You can imagine that is one hell of a role model for some young lads to say, "I've done it. It's not been easy, but this is what I did. This is the outcome of it if you apply yourself."
Yeah, and you're not telling me if we don't bring Zabaleta back as a coach one day. I believe we will, but if we don't, that we wouldn't have Zabaleta in that kind of ambassadorial role in Argentina as well.
It's not a bad shout, is it?
He loves Manchester City as much as we do.
It's interesting to think that, you know, these great players we've had over the last 10, 15 years can still offer us so much in another role somewhere down the line. We're not used to this, really, are we?
No, you've got we kind of missed a generation that, you know, we've got 𝐒𝐡𝐵 and Buck and, you know, Colin Bell, rest in peace. That was kind of, you know, our ambassadors, and, you know, we kind of got Gary Owen, you know, Paul Lake a little bit as well. But now we've got this handful. We've got, you know, if you saw Zabaleta, Company, Yaya Toure, David Silva, you know, walking towards the ground as a fan, you wouldn't be surprised.
That's just like the footballing side of things. We're starting to take over in punditry terms as well, aren't we? We've got an awful lot of really talented ex-City players that are real quality. Not knowing a lot to talk about pundits as well. Julian Lescott, you know, and Matt Micah are absolute fantastic pundits.
Yeah, who's not scared of Keane, which I love.
I love that. I actually love that dynamic they're going on there. It's absolutely the most unlikely duo ever, but it's brilliant.
You want to see them on a TV show of their own, don't you? It is. I would watch that with get them a YouTube show, 100%.
Yeah.
So I think cutting a long story short here, looking at the average ages, looking at the team we've got coming through, looking at the players we've got and the quality we've got, the future's definitely bright for the next 5 years, Dave. Certain key acquisitions over those next 5 years in key positions. we're just going to hopefully just keep us at the top for as long as we can be.
You got to think.
And that's the big thing for me now. This isn't about us spending 200 million, you know, every summer. This is now. You use the exact phrase. It's a key acquisition. To Brian's point, one goes in, one goes out, one goes in to fill that position. That really, looking at this team, look at these players in the academy, that's all we need to do, which means we'll keep in financial fair play forever now, which is what we need to do.
I think we've also set the bar now in terms of these sort of players who bring in the standards. If you look at highlight 2, Ruben Dias and Rodri, these two are the standard now of the player that I'd expect us to be able to go out and get. You know, these young 22, 23-year-olds who are desperate to step up at the next level, and then they come in and they just hit the ground running, and they're absolute brutes, absolute animals on a pitch and the mentality. These are the ones we want. If you're going to spend 65 million, go out and get someone who's going to play for us for a decade, and he'll just slot straight in and replace that. He'll be the one that comes in for one of the old guys who's gone out like Fernandinho. Because you imagine, like, what would Fernandinho be worth now as a 24-year-old, like when we got him? You know what I mean? It would be that 60, 70 million pound player, wouldn't he? He would, because 30 million, wouldn't he? He would be that sort of Rodri standard. So that is the standard now I expect of players to come in who are going to take over the roles of those that are now moving on.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Right then, let's move on. Saturday, 8 PM, BT Sport, City versus Fulham. It's another cup final, gents. I've said it every game for the last probably 7 or 8 games. Massive game. We need to get a quick win. If the best City team turn up, Fulham aren't going to stand a chance. The problem is, Fulham don't look too bad at the minute. Don't look too bad at all. I quite like the way they play. I think they're dangerous on attack and they can score goals. We're shipping goals, which is a bit of a worry for me at the moment. Bear in mind our strength in defence has been phenomenal over the last couple of months. Dave, how do you see the Fulham game working out for us?
So, number one, I think Stones will come back in and support Diaz. I thought Laporte was average yesterday. It was a tough penalty to give away, but he didn't have the greatest game, Laporte, and I think it's showing right now. Stones has got the bit between his teeth. He's playing really well with Diaz. He's scoring goals as well. So I think we'll be a little bit firmer in defence. I think Cancelo will come in. Fulham are a nice footballing team as well. I think they'll come out and they'll play good football, and I appreciate that of Scott Parker, of what he's made Fulham. They're certainly not a West Brom, are they? Who are just going to put players behind the ball. I think it'll be an exciting game. I think I'll be surprised if we don't get the win, because I think it will be a proper footballing game. But I think there'll be goals in it. I think it will just be a little bit more steady at the back with Stones in there, with Diaz. Probably I'll go a 3-1 City for me.
All right, that. What's your thoughts, Brian?
Just looking at the stats now for Fulham, they're unbeaten in their last 6 Premier League away games.
Yeah.
They've won 2 and drawn 4, but they're actually doing really, really well in the form guide as well. In the last 6 games, they are 4th, I think, in the form table, that says. Which, you know, for a team like Fulham, they're 5th in the form table in the last 6 games, Fulham. So they've turned their season around, and they are fighting still for relegation. They've been like up against it since well before Christmas, and they're still playing well. So I mean, I think there could be quite a surprising game at the weekend. They don't really have any superstars either, so these lads are all young and up for it, and they're just trying to prove a point. And I think it was I don't know if you've listened to the Gary Neville podcast, which he gives after a Sunday afternoon game. He talked about Scott Parker, about how when he was on doing his coaching badges and stuff, Scott Parker was the person that they refer to as the level to get to as a young manager. This guy is setting the standards. He's breaking, you know, he's setting the standards. He's up there, and he's being compared to like the older managers of the generation, so like the ones that are at the top of their game. You know, this proactive sort of manager. So Scott Parker's doing a really good job there. But for that, this is why I'm a little bit worried. If there's a banana skin out there of a lower league team, lower place team, it's this one. You know, so of all the last like 7-8 games that we've had like cup finals, I think, barring the United one, I think this is probably going to be our hardest game.
The only plus side we've got is like I think both of you urged to there is Fulham like to come out and play football, which we can absorb and attack on. I thought United did really well against us in their tactics. I think if Fulham if Fulham can emulate what they did, I think they'll cause us some real problems. If our forward three have their striking boots on, I don't think we've got anything to worry about. I think we'll be fine as long as we turn up and the best City team. We need to turn up a 3 or a 4, out of 5 rather than a 1 or a 2. I think we'll.
That's it. I was just like Fulham will play well. They'll try. It's whether or not we can let them do that. We're quite capable of coming out and putting 4 goals in the first 25 minutes, and that's the game done. We've got it in our locker. So I think if we start the game positively, which we have done most games in the last 10-15 games, we've started really positively. So I think the key to it is starting positive, starting quick, not letting them settle, because they're going to want to come. They're going to come here thinking if we just get through the first 10-15 and sail into a bit of confidence, that's when we've got to demoralise these sort of teams.
Quick early goal, please.
Quick early goal. Give no possession. Give them a chance to get forward. Like Southampton last night, they dominated early proceedings and they had a lot of confidence from that. Whereas most teams come at us yard, we absolutely demoralise and pass them to death. When they do get the ball, they've not got much. It's like 18 minutes into the game and they finally might get a sniff in the 18-yard box.
Yeah,
so you've got to keep these teams away.
Score prediction, Brian?
I'm gonna say it's gonna be just a 1-0 win. I'm gonna go with a moderate 1-0 win, and I'll take that.
Yeah, I would take that too. The team I've put together for us, I'd like to discuss with you. So I've gone for Ederson, Cancelo, Diaz, Stones, and Zinchenko, Rodri, Gundogan, and KDB, Foden, Jesus, and Mahrez. What do you think of that?
Jesus and Mahrez. So no Sterling.
No Sterling. No, on the bench. Starts on the bench for me. I think Mahrez is undroppable. I think Foden is undroppable. I think we need to play Jesus as a striker, and I just can't find a place for Sterling at the minute.
I think you're probably right there. What about Bernardo Silva?
Yeah, start from the bench.
Back to the bench.
Back to the bench. Yeah, I think Rodri, Gundogan, and KDB again. I'd struggle to crowbar him in. I think.
Yeah, I think there's gonna be a lot of rotation again. Been like 5 or 6 a week now. I was surprised if I think Walker might start, and I think it'll be Laporte and Stones. I think he might just give Diaz the night off. Especially with the Champions League game coming up. Yeah.
You think, guys?
I do because
statement, that is.
I do because I think the guy's been ruthless since he's come here. I think if he's going to give him a rest, give him a rest now. The result, as much as a win would matter and helps, it doesn't matter as much as keeping somebody like Diaz fresh. And I would rather Diaz sit a game out and us not do too well than him come in and then be tired down further down the line.
Interesting.
Protect it.
It's a very interesting point. He's 23 though, isn't he? He must have a bit more recovery than most.
I think it's a mental. Let's give him a chance to mentally relax, and sit in the stands and just have a chill and sit back and and just give him a little bit of a taste of what it's like to sit out. Because let's be honest, he's not missed many games at all.
So looking at the league, so the fixtures to come, we got Fulham on Saturday, then we play on Tuesday night 8 o'clock, then we play on Saturday at 5:30 against Everton, and then the week later. Oh no, then we got a rest then, haven't we? We've got internationals, haven't we?
Internationals. So that's FA Cup, right? The Everton.
Yes, correct.
Game.
Yeah.
So I think just giving a night. I personally would give him a night off.
It's funny, isn't it? Because this is almost a question for Pep that I think we can all agree that Diaz is probably our best centre-back, not taking anything away from Laporte or Stones, and Stones is certainly getting to that level. But it's almost a question for Pep. Do you not want to play your best, or what you feel your best 11 to really think you're going to get the 3 points? Because if we get the 3 points, that's 17 ahead before United play, and that's got to demoralise United, right? If we can get the win before they've played, that's 17 points. So I'm kind of questioning, don't we really want Diaz and Stones there, who is our best centre-back pairing, to really make sure that it's a tough one, right?
I thought Laporte was poor last night, to be fair. he doesn't look settled in terms of being on the pitch. Now, if you take him out again, then we're all going to get that same. He's heading down that Otamendi style route of coming in with a bit of a ropey performance. John Stones did it. You know, he needs games. So if he plays tomorrow alongside Stones, or you know, I think Laporte has to start again. You know, he has to. They're not frighteningly dangerous up front. So I would start Laporte again just to give him those back-to-back games, give him a bit of confidence, let him dust off his shaky performance. He was a bit shaky when he wasn't.
He was.
He just looks like. I mean, he just looks like he's struggling a bit because we all know what he came in as and what he did, and all of a sudden now he's not even getting a game, and it's like that must affect you a little bit, and I think that's what we're seeing, that little tiny bit of a dip in confidence. Is we know Stones can come in and play well, we know Diaz can come in and play well, we need Laporte to be on it as well, because if anything happens to those two, he's in, and we don't want him to come in as a shaky, ruined mess.
Yeah, I can see it. I can definitely see your point. And Pep has got a history of playing players that didn't have a particularly good game the game before to give him that confidence. So I
think Pep's going to manage. I think after the international break, I don't think we'll see as much rotation. I think Pep's now in a position where he's managing the rotation up to the international break as best he can, because he sees that as an opportunity to give everyone a reset. You know, because an awful lot of players won't be going far for international duty, if at all. So get in there, get everyone limping to that, get everyone there together. You know, rather than like play somebody when it doesn't need to be played and you pick up an injury it doesn't need.
How bonkers is an international break in this climate, though? I still can't get my head around why. I don't understand. I don't know. It's not my place to say it, but I just can't get my head around it.
Ridiculous.
The local games, you know, if you into like Central Europe and stuff's fine as long as it's safe. That's fine. It's the ones that we travel into South America and Asia and stuff. You don't want those. No, we don't need them. We don't need players travelling halfway around the world. It sends the wrong signal, really. Globally, don't it? That they're going out to play football in a different country all the time like that.
Yeah, Pep's even said, Antti, that if they have to quarantine when they get back, they're not going on the plane.
Makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. We got your scores. That's fine. Big game Saturday, guys. But obviously a big one. We're going to move on now. Tough subject and a final subject of the night. Where do we go with Sergio? That sounds even painful saying it out loud. Dave, if you're Pep Guardiola, what are you thinking?
If I'm Pep, I give him till the end of the season. And, he's obviously watching him in training and seeing what he's going at, and he's still really not getting a game. He's preferring an attacking midfielder, as in Silva, playing in that false nine role rather than having a striker. I personally think that speaks volumes about where his head is at with Aguero. I've said this on this podcast for months now. I think Aguero's body is shot. He has been playing professionally for 17 years now. Never had the greatest injury record with City. He's banged in a ridiculous amount of goals for us, but he's always been susceptible to injury. I think his body's caught up with him now. He's one of the highest earners at the club. I personally think that you've got to take sentiment out of the window here, particularly if he's going to spend big bucks on a Haaland or a Isaac or Marlon. I know we could argue about who he's going to bring in for weeks. I honestly believe that Aguero will go in the summer, because I don't think for Pep he is bringing enough to the team.
Oh, crikey. This is a lad that's won the 4 Premier Leagues, 5 League Cups, FA Cup. It's hard.
He's been out for pretty much a year.
Yeah.
Because of the odd game. And he's just, he looked all right last night when he came on. He had that shot, he's still got it. But I don't think he's got it for a Pep Guardiola team. I would love him to go back to Independiente, which he said is what he wants to do, and he'll probably get another 2-3 years in that league. Has he got another couple of years in the Premier League? No chance. No chance.
Are City outgrowing the raw striker, the Sergio Aguero type position? Is that where we see the issue at the minute?
I don't think so. No, I think it's we developed this formation and style we played out of necessity rather than him ignoring the fact that we've got two world-class strikers there. I think we didn't have any strikers for a while, and he had to find a way around that. And I think he's now a victim of, well, you weren't here at the start, you're here now, but while you weren't here, we changed into a new way, and this is how we're doing things now. But now, until there's a time when we know we need to change, why change something just for the sake of it when this is working fine? I'm with it where it's like, take the sentiment out of it, and you know, who'd have thought 10 years ago would have had one of the leading goal scorers of all time playing for us for this amount of time? Nobody would have done it. He can't play forever. Would we want a crocked Sergio Aguero out for 2 weeks, 10 minutes? I wouldn't want that. I don't think he'd want that either. You know, and he deserves to be treated with the utmost respect. So I think we wait to the end of the season. I actually think he'll start tomorrow, Saturday. I think he'll probably start.
Bear in mind, he's only started 10% of our games this year.
I think Pep will give him time. I think he will start games towards the end of the season now. You know, I think he'll start when it comes to Premier League games, especially. I think he'll start Premier League games what we might find easy to win, because we know we can win if he wasn't to play well and we take him off, we know we could probably win anyway if we bring somebody else on. I think he will start a lot of games towards the end of the season, or he'll play quite a bit of time. Because I genuinely think that Pep wants him to prove to him that he can stay.
Yeah.
I think he wants him to. I think Pep says to him, look, I'm going to give you every opportunity to do it. Please give it me. And it's obviously up to Sergio to do it. If he doesn't do it, we don't know if he will or not. I guess we'll find out. And I think, sadly, the money is on. This is where the business mind comes into it. Then there is no room for sentiment in football anymore. We know that. Time to go.
I think from a money point of view, I think the best option would be a pay-as-you-play. And if he wants that, great. If he doesn't, he doesn't go.
Would you?
I won't pay him 300 grand a week next year.
Yeah, but is he going to take? Are you going to offer him? Are you going to mug him off by saying I'm going to give you 70 grand a week? You know, so the money is not an object to him. The money, it doesn't matter about the money. He's earned his fortune until it'll last him a lifetime. It's whether or not that is an insulting amount for him to stay.
Yeah.
You know,
because even Kevin De Bruyne.
You don't want to tarnish that. You don't want to tarnish that. You don't want to say, look, Sergio, you can stay, mate. We're going to give you 70,000 a week, which is probably earning on par with Phil Foden, maybe. Sergio's like, would he accept that? I think he probably would. But then it doesn't sit right with me that we're mugging this guy off a bit financially. No. And then you put in a bit of a pressure on him to say, well, we've given you this career, you've got to give us something back to stay, when it's being offered.
But bear in mind, he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to, does he?
Yeah,
he's at the end of his contract, so he doesn't have to stay.
You put him in a situation that he shouldn't ever be in. You know, if he wants to stay, let him stay. Pay him. Let's be honest. The money doesn't affect us three. What we're paying, does it? It's not coming out of our pocket, really. You know, that money's coming from somewhere that we're never ever going to contribute to the amount of ways he's earned. So if you're going to pay him, let him stay for a year. It shouldn't be about the money. It should be more about whether he's good enough to stay.
Just to talk you through his injuries this season. Quite an interesting statistic here. It's not really a statistic. I'm going to have to run it through with you. The last proper game he played for us, proper, after his knee injury, was on the 15th of December, and that was against West Brom in the 1-1 draw. And he was in and around the team for 4 games then. West Brom, Southampton, Newcastle and Chelsea. From Brighton, Crystal Palace, Aston Villa, West Brom, Sheffield, Burnley and Liverpool, he was out with coronavirus. So he's not necessarily having knee injury or anything on those lines. So that's 7 games he's missed through the virus. And since then, since he's come back and had the all clear from coronavirus, he was on the bench against Spurs, bench against Everton, bench against Arsenal, came on in the 61st minute against West Ham, bench against Wolves, bench against United, and obviously, when did he come on against Southampton?
Came on like 80th minute.
Whatever. Yeah. So basically, what I'm saying there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The last 7 games, he's been on the bench. He's been potentially fit, and before that, the 8 games before that wasn't a knee injury, a muscle injury. It was because of coronavirus. So what I'm kind of saying there is actually maybe we just need to give him a bit of slack. Maybe he's not. He would have played more if the virus hadn't have
Yeah, well,
you know, do you see where I'm going with this?
Early on in the season, Gundogan had it, didn't he? He took a while to get going.
Yeah.
It took him a while to get going back after it.
What honestly that says to me is he's not doing what Pep wants in training. That, to Brian's point, that we've had to change this system, this formation, because we've had no strikers, and it's worked, and we went on this 21 match unbeaten run, the false nine, all the three forwards, you know, interchanging positions. What my takeaway is from that, Tom, is that Sergio isn't being able to produce what Pep wants, and so he's not going to play him. He's had 11
appearances this year and scored twice.
Yeah,
you know that's not the Sergio that we know that scored 256-7 goals or something since he's been with us. So
no,
you know,
because can we see Aguero at the age he is now playing across that three forwards, of being a false nine, of going to the left, of going to the right, of interchanging. 1 minute he'll be in Sterling's position, then Sterling swaps with him. That's my point, that now we're playing like that, and Aguero is more of an out-and-out box finisher. Can he do it?
Yeah.
And if that's the way that we're going to continue to play...
He can't do that. He just can't do that. He's not, and I think it's too much to ask him to do that as well.
Old dog new trick scenario, that, isn't it?
I mean...
Yeah.
He came in when Pep came in. He kind of changed him a bit and made him step up a bit more. What was that, 5 years ago? You know, and he's reacted to that. I don't think he's got it in him now to say, I'm going to run around like another chicken. And I don't think I've got that in me. He'll still be able to do what Pep wants him to do before this season, but I think our tactics have evolved just a little bit now, where he's probably not going to fit that system as much as we'd like him to.
What's worked so well for us these last 25 games is that the defenders of the other team have not known who to pick up. Right? They don't know if it's Foden, they don't know if it's Silva, they don't know if it's Sterling.
Yeah, it's been very static, hasn't it? It's been very static.
Gundogan making runs. Well, let's be honest. If we know that Sergio Aguero is playing, I'm not taking away anything from his ability, that all the team are going to do is put a player on Sergio Aguero, just like Southampton did last night. That's all they need to do, because they know, to Brian's point, Aguero is not going to cover those hard yards all across the three channels in that forward position. I just think we're kind of getting to the end of seeing Aguero. You know, hopefully this is, you know, he turns round and bangs in a hat-trick in the Champions League final, and then he gets of course he gets a new contract, but I just don't see it.
I think we'll find out by the Carabao Cup, the final, I think after that will be the time when we know for sure.
Yeah.
I genuinely think that if there's ever going to be a decision made, it's going to come straight after that. If we win it, and he plays and he does well, that might be his time to say, thanks, I'm done.
Yeah.
Thanks for remembering. You know, that'd be the perfect way to go. If he's going to move on, that would be the moment when I expect that's when a public decision is going to be made. Either way.
Yeah, and this is the hardest thing, because us three are talking about it, and we're almost in tears just talking about the prospect of arguably our greatest ever player, you know, leaving. And it's horrible, but times in football, you know, move on. We lost my favourite ever player, you know, and we've moved on, and hopefully we're going to win the league without him. We lost Vincent Kompany, our absolute legend. We've moved on. We've won trophies without him.
I mean, I was heartbroken when Sean Wright. I was heartbroken when Sean Wright Phillips left. Let alone now. You know,
yeah, it's true.
Don't have to take much for me to start crying. You know, footballers.
Right, chaps, we'll leave it there. We'll leave it there. Only time will tell. I just hope he comes out all singing, all dancing. Like David Silva, it'd be a shame to say goodbye to somebody we're not going to see a stadium full of fans to say goodbye to. This is football. We don't pay the wages. We'll just see what happens, don't we? And I just hope if he finishes with us, I hope it's with a bang, and I hope he lifts us a couple of trophies on the way. I think he for one FA Cup with his time here, he needs to win that at least one more time before he leaves. That'd be nice, I think.
I mean, what better way to go out than winning all 4? You know, that would be the most perfect ending to anybody's career in anywhere ever.
I think never mind career. I could die happy if that happened, pal. I'd be happy with that.
Well, you pack up the show and call it
That's
a day.
it. Done.
Yeah, pack it up, done.
Completed it, mate.
Our job here is done. Yeah.
If we get to a Champions League final, I would really like for Pep to sign David Silva, Zabaleta, and company on loan, just for a week, and just have them there because they deserve it.
Just in the changing room for the motivational speech, I think could be good.
Anything. I still get my head around why David Beckham was on the bench for England. You remember at the South Africa World Cup?
Yeah.
What was he doing? What was his job there? So if he can do that, yeah, I want company, Zabaleta, Yaya, all on the bench in a Champions League final.
Oh, crikey, let's get Paul Lake in as well. Why not? Let's drag Paul Lake in. Right, lads, thank you very much. Brilliant, Nat, really enjoyed it. Love you and leave you. Thank you for watching, everyone, and we'll see you soon. Have a good night.
See you till we die.